Your stomach is empty, and it's day 6. Put your hand on your belt right now. Wherever you're sitting, that notch you'd be tightening is the only clock your body trusts. The hunters left before dawn again. They came back with nothing again. There are 11 of you, and 4 are children under 7, and children under 7 die fast. Big game hunting fails most of the time. In modern hunter-gatherer records, solo hunts come home empty on well over half of all attempts. So what actually fed people through the week the spears failed? Not the mammoth, something far more boring and far more important. Start with the number that ruins the cave painting. Among the Hadza of northern Tanzania, studied by anthropologist Frank Marlowe over roughly 2 decades of fieldwork, men hunting large game come back with a carcass on only a small fraction of days out. Marlowe's published figures put big game success around 3% of hunter days. 3%. If that were the whole food system, our species would have gone extinct before it finished inventing itself. And yet the Hadza eat every day. The camp does not starve while the men are out failing, which means the meat, the part we put in every museum diorama, is the bonus. It is the lottery ticket. Something else is paying rent, and it is being carried into camp by people we almost never draw holding a weapon. The strange part is not that the backup plan existed. The strange part is that it was so reliable, nobody thought it was worth mentioning. That something is the tuber, the underground storage organ, the root that no animal with a normal set of teeth and jaws can be bothered to dig out. Hadza women dig ekwa, a deep, wild tuber, using a sharpened stick, and they do it most days of the year, in the dry season, when nothing else is producing. Marlowe recorded women out foraging on the large majority of days, bringing back several kilos, day after boring day. This is food that does not run. It does not fight back. It has no ambush strategy. It is simply sitting there, 1 to 3 feet down, waiting, in the same patch it was in last year and will be in next year. That last part is the thing worth sitting with. Meat moves. Herds migrate, get hunted out, get taken by lions first. A tuber field is an address, and a species that knows addresses starts behaving very differently from one that only knows chases. Now, the objection you're already forming, which is fair, if roots were that good, why is every prehistoric image about spears? Because roots don't fossilize well, and stone points do. Archaeology is biased toward whatever survives 20,000 years in dirt, and that's rock, bone, and teeth. Plant food rots. So, for over a century, the story of human diet was written by the objects that happened to be durable. That started to break in 2010, when a team led by Anna Revedin published starch grains recovered from grinding stones at 3 European sites, dated to roughly 30,000 years ago, including Biloncino in Italy, cattail and fern roots, processed into flour, Ice Age flour. The reading is that plant processing was routine deep in the Upper Paleolithic, not a late farming invention. And if they were grinding roots into powder that long ago, someone had already solved a problem that raw tubers create. The problem is that most wild tubers are, technically speaking, trying to poison you. Plants that store energy underground defend it because they cannot run either. Toxins, bitter compounds, indigestible fiber so tough it costs you more energy to chew than the food returns. This is where fire stops being a nice campfire scene and becomes a digestive organ. Richard Wrangham of Harvard has argued since the late 1990s that cooking is what unlocked underground food for us. Heat gelatinizes starch, breaks down the defenses, and roughly doubles what your gut can actually absorb. The contested part, and he says so himself, is the date. Wrangham puts the cooking transition near 1.8 million years ago with Homo erectus. Many archaeologists say the fire evidence only gets solid around 400,000 years ago. Nobody disputes the chemistry. They dispute the calendar. And the calendar matters because there's a physical mark left behind. That mark is your face. Compare your jaw with a chimpanzee's. Yours is a joke. Small teeth, weak bite, a gut about 60% smaller than the body size of a primate like you predicts. Leslie Aiello and Peter Wheeler laid this out in 1995 as the expensive tissue hypothesis. Brains and guts are both metabolically costly, so we traded away digestive machinery to afford neural machinery. You can only make that trade if something else is doing the digestion in advance. Cooked roots do exactly that. Pre-softened, pre-broken down, effectively pre-chewed by heat. So run your tongue over your own teeth right now. They are the teeth of an animal that outsourced part of its digestion to a fire pit and never took the job back, which raises an uncomfortable question about who was doing that outsourcing and who was benefiting. Here, it gets more surprising than the food itself. In 1997, Kristen Hawkes and colleagues published what became known as the grandmother hypothesis, built partly on those Hadza foraging records. Hadza women past reproductive age were among the hardest working foragers in camp, digging tubers at high rates, and the food went to their grandchildren. Hawkes measured the effect. When a mother had a new infant, her older children's weight gain tracked how much the grandmother was bringing in. That's a mechanism for something biology otherwise struggles to explain. Human females live decades past menopause. Almost nothing else does. The argument is that the boring backup food made old women valuable, and valuable old women got selected for. It's still argued over hard. Some researchers think the extra years come from other causes, but the pattern in the data is real. A dug root, handed sideways across generations, may be part of why your grandmother exists at all. And once food is being handed sideways, something else changes shape. That thing is sharing itself. Hunting is high variance, enormous rewards, almost all failure. Roots are low variance, modest returns, nearly guaranteed. Combine them in one camp, and you get the first insurance system on Earth. A carcass rots within days in African heat, so meat that isn't shared is meat wasted, which is why hunter-gatherers across continents give it away compulsorily. The Hadza barely negotiated. A big kill gets distributed, and that's simply what happens. But the ordinary food, the daily 3 or 4 kilos of tubers, flows along tighter lines, mostly to family, 2 economies in one camp, and your instincts still run on both. The rush you get from a windfall, a bonus, a jackpot, sits in a completely different place from the flat satisfaction of a steady paycheck. One of those built our stories, the other kept us breathing. And there is a specific week where you can watch the boring one save everyone. Picture the season the record actually describes. It is the dry season in East Africa. Grass is dead. The animals have followed water somewhere you are not. Berries are finished. Honey is finished. The easy months are 3 months gone. This is the annual bottleneck, and it happens every single year. Anthropologists call these fallback foods, the things nobody wants and everybody eats. You are hungry, your throat is dusty, and you are kneeling in cracked ground, driving a fire-hardened stick into soil like concrete. 20 minutes of digging for one tuber. It is fibrous, faintly bitter, and you will chew it and spit out the woody quid. Hadza foragers do exactly this, extracting the juice and discarding the fiber. It is the least glamorous act in human prehistory. It is also, on that day, the difference between a lineage continuing and a lineage stopping. And the reason you can reach that food at all is a piece of anatomy you have been ignoring your whole life: your hands. The human thumb is long relative to the fingers and drives a precision grip no ape can match. That grip is usually explained by tools and weapons. But there's a quieter reading. It's also a digging and processing hand. Stripping, twisting, peeling, gripping a stick, and torquing it against packed earth for an hour. Jane Goodall documented chimpanzees at Gombe from 1960 onward using stems to fish termites. Real tool use, but light work. The heavy, repetitive, low-status labor of prying calories out of the ground is ours. And here's the twist that hides in plain sight. Digging sticks almost never survive archaeologically because wood rots. The oldest known wooden implements, like the Schöningen spears in Germany, at roughly 300,000 years old, survived only through freak waterlogged preservation. So the tool that likely fed us most consistently is the one that left the least trace. We built our origin story out of what survived, not out of what mattered, which brings the whole thing to farming and to a betrayal. Around 11,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent, humans stopped chasing addresses and started making them. Farming is the tuber logic taken to its extreme. A food that cannot run, in a known place, on a known schedule. And it worked, in that populations exploded. But the skeletons tell a bleaker story. Studies of early agricultural remains, including work compiled by Mark Nathan Cohen and George Armalagos in the 1980s, show shorter stature, more dental cavities, more anemia, more signs of arrested growth than in the foragers who came before. It's a contested picture, and the pattern isn't uniform across every region. But the general trend held. We chose reliability over quality and paid in our bones. The backup plan won so completely that it stopped being the backup. And then it did something none of the hunters would have predicted. It made hunger optional and boredom permanent. Once food came from a fixed place on a fixed schedule, the human day stopped being a series of gambles and became a series of shifts. That's the trade you're living inside right now. Your ancestors' nervous system was built for the 3%, the sudden windfall, the chase, the day everything changes. It was fed by the 97, the digging, the grinding, the same soil, the same stick, the same soreness in the same shoulder. Reach for your phone and refresh a feed you've already read, and you're running that old code, scanning for the kill, getting the tuber. The thin, reliable, faintly disappointing hit that keeps you coming back precisely because it almost always works. That gap between what thrills you and what sustains you was not a design flaw. It was the arrangement that let a slow, weak, thin-skinned primate survive a bad week. And bad weeks are the whole story. Not the mammoth, not the painted bison on the cave wall at Lascaux. The species that made it through was the one that could survive being unlucky for 6 days straight, then 7, then a whole dry season. Somebody knelt in hard ground with a sharpened stick and pulled up something bitter and handed it to a child who was not hers. No one sang about it. No one carved it into bone. It has taken us until the last few decades to notice that this, the patient, unglamorous, endlessly repeated gesture of getting food out of dirt is the thread we are all hanging from. You are descended from the ones who dug. Every time you do something dull because it needs doing, you are keeping a very old promise.